As well from my side, thank you to the ISA team for the invitation to be here and to have the possibility to report a little bit about my experience in legal interoperability and all the related issues to interoperability. And I think I can say that especially the ISA team and all the colleagues who are working for the ISA, that they are engaged me to be interested in these interoperability things. First, I thought interoperability is really something for the technical guys that should not be in the focus of people with a legal background, it should not even be in the focus of a ministry or a public administration. It is something that is underlying technique that will be just provided by professionals. But then I recognized that we are responsible for this kind of interoperability, that with that what we are doing in our daily business, in public administrations, in universities, that we are really setting the frame for these things, that we are setting the mindset for interoperability. And a lot of things that we are doing have cross-border aspects. And cross-border is, from my point of view, the one side of the flip, and the other side of the coin is interoperability. All the time when we are talking about cross-border things, and we are buying a lot of things cross-border, we are having a lot of cross-border interactivities, relationships, contracts, everything, every day. So we are buying things via the internet with Amazon, with eBay, and then we have automatically cross-border aspects. It means also that we have to think about interoperability. And I think one very important thing is, and I think is highlighted also in the Tallinn Declaration, that was also stressed several times today, is that we should have in the focus the user-centric approach. Wherever we are working, we have to think that we are doing this on behalf and for the citizens. They are our customers, they are using the tools that we are providing, and we are not doing it for ourselves, and most probably also not for altruistic reasons. So we have to come up with something that is proper, that fits with the needs of our citizens and small businesses, medium enterprises, so really the users of these kind of systems. So we have to listen what they need, and we have to discover what are their requirements. And this has to be squeezed in the legal and technical framework. And another thing that I can highlight and also pick up, that was already said by Mario in the morning, at the moment we are still thinking in silos, at least in parts of in the member states, also somewhere on the European level. So we are thinking on different layers. We are thinking on in several arenas, but also in silos in different areas like e-justice, e-government, and e-health. We all think that we are special and that we have a lot of hurdles that stops us to have really interoperability aspects in place. And this, I think, is one of the big hurdles at the moment that hinders our customers, our citizens, the businesses to use all these things. They have to have a lot of accounts to use services. They cannot have a comfortable single sign-on, single sign-in, and it is very difficult to have a kind of central entry point to all the European services. At the moment, I think we have already heard it, that we are having now the SDGR, the Single Digital Gateway Regulation, in place. Just a few days ago it was published, and I think this will stop this. Not immediately, there is a time frame for transition, but within the next 5 years, step by step, minimum 21 services has to be cross-border all across Europe and in the EFTA countries be available via your portal, the Single Digital Gateway, and we have to use mandatorily the once-only principle, and we have heard already by Lefteris Leontaridis about the TOP project that is also presented on the first floor here in this nice building, so you can see what we can do with the once-only principle and how it can be supported for the government and the citizens. We have also heard about different layers of interoperability, and I want to add one level of interoperability as well. I think it was named also by the previous speaker, but you combined it directly with legal interoperability. I personally see it a little bit separated, because we have to have first the agreement on the policy level that we want to have interoperability. So we need this common consensus by the politicians, by the people who are responsible for the politics. that they say, yes, we want to have this kind and this level of interoperability. And after this kind of consensus that we are making and building on the European level, European Commission, as at the moment it is, and also all other European institutions can be seated in the driver's seat and push the member states, public administrations, the judicial area, and also the e-health area forward. Then I think the next step is legal interoperability. Then we can come up with a proper legal framework for that, where also legal interoperability helps us to communicate with each other. I recognized as well in the past that legal interoperability is not something that is simple, that is difficult, that it is difficult. Because we have, even if we are using the same term in different regulations, in different directives, this word can have a different meaning. And that stops, or hinders at least, legal interoperability, because we have then different definitions, and it makes it very complex to create this kind of semantic interoperability that is necessary on the technical side. Then, as underlying thing, this is, I think, really something, it was already named by previous speakers, the technical interoperability. This is, I think, from that point of view, not rocket science. We have a lot of institutions on the European level and also standardization bodies that helps us to come up with ideas for this interoperability layer. But as I said, we are having at the moment this problem with the user-centric approach because we have not fully implemented this kind of legal interoperability, and therefore we have, unfortunately, I think, to focus more on a use case-centric approach, at least until now. Because we can come up with proper ideas, technical solutions, and also interfaces that helps our customers to use the regulations and the directives, but only for that directive and for this regulation. And we have to really overcome this kind of hurdles, and we have to think in advance that when we are having ideas for new legislative acts, how we can stop this. And I think a good idea could be, for example, that we have references to existing regulations, legislative acts, or common legislative acts that give us a common definition for these things that we want to use and that we are exchanging, so that we have some common definitions that can be used for our colleagues who are coming up with semantic, with mapping tools and everything. So, and this should be not only used on the European level, but we can probably then use it as a first step, and then all the other levels, the regional level, the national level, also federal levels can benefit from this. They can pick it up and reuse this as an existing reusable building block, as we have it with the Connecting Europe facility and in other areas, that we can reuse it then also in a more national context. But this I see only as an intermediate step. And I would really want to again say, yes, the ultimate case should be then the user-centric approach at the end. And for that, I think we need this more generic approach. We should have a closer look to common legal bases and common definitions for several legal aspects. So we need agreements on definitions of specific terms that are reused several times. I know that this is an issue because most of us are not native speaker of the language that we are discussing and negotiating our legal framework, but it is a must from my point of view. We have then, after an agreement, we have mandatorily to reuse these definitions in incoming new legislative acts so that we can ensure this kind of semantic interoperability we are talking about. Then we should have references also probably on national level to European legislative acts that helps us to avoid these gaps between the national level or regional level and the European level, because at the end I think these data should be exchangeable between all these different levels, because our customers are not interested in where the data are stored, where they are coming from, and where they are going in. So from that point of view, I think we should think from that point of view. And I think these things are supported by the underlying principles that was already named. This is on the one side, the principle digital by default. But also, I think, again, to highlight it, is the once only principle. I think the once-only principle, and I told it to colleagues, to friends in Germany and other countries, they say, yes, this will bring us forward. If this is in place, I really see something that is something substantial coming out of Europe, that Europe is really doing something for me that makes my daily life, my daily business easier, simpler, and yeah, that's something I would pay taxes for, also for the European level. So then with this kind of legislative framework that we are then probably setting up, and that is then inspired by, for example, the SDGR, this leads us then to the possibility to have this and fulfill the expectations of a user-centric solution and a user-centric approach. And just at the end, I think we have already some of these generic legal bases in place that can inspire us as well for the incoming new legislative acts that we then for sure will see after the elections, and that will help us and we can benefit from. And last but not least, I think all these things are obviously available via EURLEX, and all of them have an ELI, so a permanent link, so you can see them and find them there in the on the European level. Thank you very much.